back in a, in a more compelling way.
What were your mom and dad like?
They were wonderful. My father, unfortunately, has passed on now. He passed on of a glioblastoma in 2002. It was a very sad time for us.
I bet it was.
Yeah. My mother's alive, and she's very independent. She was born in Poland and grew up in occupied France.
Isn't that
And came here as a child, so she spoke Polish and French. And I always say to her, so Mom, you speak Polish, French, Ukrainian, and English, and you taught me Polish.
Do you still speak it?
We speak Polish and Ukrainian and a little bit of French, not nearly enough, so I'm going to work on that this summer as well. I actually went to the Sorbonne after I graduated university. I took a year off and went to the Sorbonne to improve my French. I did an immersion program.
Good for you.
God,
if you have to do it anywhere.
I know, it was great fun. It was great fun. We did take the opportunity to travel around Europe as well, so it was good fun. I've had some great travel experience too. Actually, in undergrad, I subsidized myself by working as a flight attendant.
Did you really? For who?
Air Canada.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Like for the 4 years?
Yeah, we did 3 of them because the final year they were laying people off, so they couldn't afford to bring people on contract any longer when they were, through attrition, they were laying people off.
You have the right personality for it because you need to be outgoing and pleasant. And
I think I have the right personality for politics as well. My heart's in the right place. I want to make a difference in the community, and I'm vocal, and I'm a strong advocate for people and their issues.
Do you get hurt sometimes?
No, a very thick skin.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
How did you develop that? Is it natural? Because some people naturally have a thick skin and it rolls off.
I've been through a lot. I've lived in a lot of different places. I've lived in Toronto, Vancouver, in Boston, New York, Los Angeles, Paris. So I've done a lot of things. We've traveled a lot. We've done a lot of things. I don't know. I don't sweat the small stuff.
Do you have a philosophy for dealing with cynicism or criticism or negative comments? You just let it go.
You just try to see the best in people.
Yeah.
I'm not a half-empty kind of person.
So when you were little, did you think to yourself, okay, I know at some point in my life I want to run for politics?
To be honest, I thought I would love to be appointed to the Senate one day.
Okay.
I didn't know if I had the personality to actually put myself out there to run for office. I think it takes you a long time to get to that point, to say, it's like running for president of the student council,
Right.
And you have to have I never did. Well, I ran for the Young Liberal Board. I didn't run for student politics. But the reason I didn't run for student politics, because I always worked as a child. I always had a part-time job. I was always too busy or on some sports team.
Of your own volition, you worked? Or
I worked. I was an only child, and I wanted to have my own money, my own spending money.
And did your parents mind that you decided to work, or were they encouraged?
I think my mother did. She preferred me spending the time on my homework and my studies. My grades were good, though, so she said, as long as your grades are good. And my dad encouraged it. He encouraged it.
And what were you doing? What kind of jobs were you
in the mall. I was the cashier, the salesperson. I worked at Bowering's. I worked at the jeans store.
I loved Bowering's, by the way. I still love Bowering's.
And I still love entertaining today, and I think it was because of my days at Bowering's.
Really?
Yeah. Every Friday nights when I come home, my husband will tell me who's coming to dinner. And
no kidding. Do you really do that?
We have dinner parties every Friday night, and Saturday night I end up at events.
Is it something that you look forward to, that Friday night?
We've always done a lot of entertaining. We've always had a very public and corporate life prior to my entry into politics, so we try and keep it up, whether they're people in the community or they're friends, or just a way of keeping connected with people.
Yeah. How do you keep connected with yourself?
Oh yes, there's no time for self.
Yeah, I can't imagine there is. Like even getting your hair done or your clothing bought would be.
They're both challenges.
Yeah,
getting your hair, all the things that women do.
Yeah,
all that maintenance work.
And they're not things that men have to deal with generally.
I think, and women are judged more harshly for
Very
it.
much so.
If you haven't had your highlight recently.
Yes, of course it's all natural anyway, so it really doesn't matter. That's not a big issue, but. Do you get time to just go shopping, or
very little? Very little. If I have an hour to myself and I'm passing a mall, I might zip in and out.
Right.
And I try and do what I need to do in that space of time.
Yeah.
No. And then when I'm off, I'll do something with my daughter.
Yeah.
But given where I work, I'm so privileged. I'm just.
You seem to really like your job.
I relish it. I do. Frankly, I'm still at the stage where I'm awestruck by the majesty. Every time I walk by Center Block, I look up and say, I work there.
That's great.
I work there, and it's such an exhilarating experience, but it's so humbling too. There's so much history here, and so much good work has been done, and I feel part of that. I feel like I'm going to do something special.
But do you find it to be a pressure as well, or is it something that you look at very positively?
No, I look at it positively, but there certainly are pressures. I mean, I like to think of it as there are two competing silos for my time. You know, there are my responsibilities here on the Hill in Ottawa, which are legislative. They're committee work. You know, you have to write speeches and questions and do research on issues and keep in touch with what's going on in your riding. And then there's the committee work, and I sit on the Public Accounts Committee, and there's a lot of homework. There's a lot of homework.
Yeah.
It's a business case study every night before we go into committee, so it's quite an onerous committee, and that in itself is more than a full-time job, frankly. And then I've got the calls to call back home to deal with the constituents' issues. And when I get there on Friday, if I don't have enough time to meet with people, I'll meet with them on Saturday before I do my events. You know, and then when we're home for that 1 week, every hour is filled with multiple meetings with individuals. So there's the constituency work, which is so important because you're solving real-life problems for people. You know, people who want visitors' visas for their families, or they want to immigrate, or they want to know how they become citizens, or they have problems with Revenue Canada, or whatever their issues are. I mean, they come to us to help solve them. Yeah. So we're solving problems big problems for people. We're making their world a little easier for them. And that's completely distinct what I have to do here in Ottawa.
Right.
So that's tough to match out. That's tough to balance as well, just those two roles, the legislative role here, the constituency role back at home, and then there's the family life and children.
Yeah, I really...
There's no self, there's no body time, there's no body time.
There's no yoga?
There used to be yoga.
Yeah, there's no...
You know, Catherine, I have to tell you, I keep bringing my running shoes, my track shoes, and my gym clothes with me back and forth, I'm just looking for that time that I can afford to work out. I know Scott Bryson gets up at 4:30 to do it.
But
and I see that, once in a while I put the alarm on.
Children,
no.
And
I know. I look at the alarm and I think, Scott, stop working out. I should be up too.
Oh, that's a terrible thing. Don't come here.
Just another hour.
You know what? He doesn't, as far as we know, Scott doesn't have to wear heels. And
that's true.
Heels help with the, you have to wear heels, I'm sure, every day.
Put in a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
I try and walk everywhere. Try not to take little
kind
green
of a workout.
shuttles. I think so. I had that little pedometer for a while.
Do you really?
Well, I used to track how many, footsteps I was taking. I think 10,000 was the point where you think you're getting a little bit of a workout if you do 10,000. So.
Well, and that's the thing about being on the hill. To get there, you have to walk a lot. I mean, you have to, and you could choose to walk up the stairs right in front of Center Block, and you can you can make yourself.
My home here is the Marriott.
Oh, is it? So you choose not to have a
rookie MP, minority government.
Okay.
I wasn't quite willing to sign a lease just yet.
That makes sense.
Right. Plus, I don't have to do anything. At home, I have a lot to do.
Right.
But here, I don't have to make the bed, and I never cook because there's always a little reception we can get a bite to eat.
Yeah.
So I get up in the morning, I get ready, I read the paper, read the clippings, and then I head into the office.
Do you have a stop on the way, like a Starbucks or a
There's a Starbucks in the hotel,
okay.
So that's handy. But also upstairs, there's their Marriott Rewards Club floor, so I go in and get a yogurt.
Okay.
Yogurt and berries is my ritual. Coffee, yogurt, berries, and then I go into the office.
And have to go to work.
Return calls, clear emails.
You don't mind being in a hotel? Does it make it feel less personal to be in Ottawa?
There's actually a good sense of camaraderie. There is at least a dozen other Liberal MPs and a number of Conservative MPs that are there. So if I'm looking for some companionship and want to get a bowl of soup or a cup of tea with someone, there are enough people downstairs or in the lobby that there's always someone around.
Does it matter
share a cab with or to have a cup of tea with?
Well, that makes it a little less lonely.
Yeah, less lonely.
Yeah. Does it make a difference if they are from another party?
No, we've got great friends on all sides, and there's some great people that stay at the Marriott that I've become friends with.
Yeah.
Certainly, I gravitate to the people I know best, which are the people in the Liberal Party first.
Yeah.
But if there's no one around, and I see Mike Lakes sitting there having a cup of tea, I'll join him. Absolutely,
sure.
Why not? He's a great guy.
And what about the that sense when you get onto the Hill too? I mean, outside of the more casual encounters that you might have when you're looking for your breakfast or something like that nature.
Everyone's here for the right reasons. We're all trying to make a difference in our communities. Everyone's accomplished in their own way in their own community. We're all good people. Ideologically, we all differ a little bit, but I think everyone's heart is in the right place, and that's what you have to keep in mind.
Did you have a political mentor?
Well, there were many, I suppose. I, try and look at the women that come ahead of me, Indira Gandhi and Margaret Thatcher, my goodness, and Hillary Clinton today. I mean, she's such an incredible woman.
Yeah.
She's just a trailblazer and a role model for all women. So, if we could be,
Yeah.